Look, I think at this point, a deal seems basically on the glide path to get done.
How's it going, everyone? This is Daniel, and in this video, we are going to be talking about Tesla stock and Twitter. We're going to go over it in detail and look at exactly how Elon Musk is at the final stages of acquiring Twitter. We're going to be talking about a detailed breakdown of how he is going to be financing the deal that is worth more than $40 billion. So we're going to break down the numbers in detail, so make sure you stay tuned. We're also going to be talking about how this deal could potentially affect Tesla stock. As you can see over here, we have headlines coming out across the board that is stating that Elon Musk is at the final stages of actually acquiring Twitter. So this is the New York Times that released their article today, which states that Twitter nears a deal to sell itself to Elon Musk. So the board members, the 11 board members, have met up with Elon Musk on Sunday to talk about the deal for potential buyout by Elon Musk. And they were quite impressed by the detailed breakdown of his commitment to finance more than $46.5 billion to buy out Twitter. So they saw how he is well prepared and how he is planning to fund this deal, and they are seriously considering to finalize the deal with Elon Musk. So his plan is to buy out Twitter for $54.20 a share. When you look at Tesla and Twitter stock today, after this massive news broke out in pre-market, as you can see, Twitter stock popped up to approximately $51 and it sold off a little bit. It was up at 1.5% to the upside, but right now it's only sitting being close to 4%. We also have Tesla stock. Unfortunately, it gapped down at around $980. Last week we were sitting close to $1,000. And as I'm recording this video, Tesla stock is sitting at $1,079, which is close to the price that it closed on Friday. So let's go over and look at exactly a detailed breakdown of how Elon Musk is going to be financing this massive multi-billion-dollar deal. So the most important thing that we're going to look at exactly is there a risk for Elon Musk to sell Tesla stock and how that could potentially affect it? So we're going to talk about it later on in detail. But as you can see over here, we have investment bank Morgan Stanley and group of other lenders which are offering $13 billion in debt financing plus another $12.5 billion in loans against his stock in Tesla. So he's going to be taking out a loan against his massive Tesla stock position. And also he said he would use another $21 billion in cash to buy the rest of Twitter's equity. So this is where a lot of people are speculating, okay, where is he going to get this $21 billion in cash? We know that last year Elon Musk sold some shares of Tesla to pay taxes and get some cash, to liquidate some cash out. And he has a few $billion available to leverage and get more debt. He definitely needs a lot of money to finalize this deal. So there might be a risk of him actually selling Tesla stock to complete this massive deal. So let's go over and look at exactly what Wall Street analysts are expecting out of this specific deal. So several analysts have said they expect the Twitter board to only accept a bid that is valued at a minimum of $60 a share. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you think? Is Twitter worth more than $40 billion? I personally don't think it's worth $40 billion. I think Elon Musk is paying a lot of money when it comes to acquiring Twitter, but we'll see in the future how he's going to be changing this company if the deal is finalized. I just want to confirm that this deal is not finalized yet. It's just the final stage, and it's probably going to go through. That's where a lot of reports are coming out and stating. So when you look at Twitter stock, we have the earnings call coming up on Thursday. So that is also important. So we're going to be getting more details about this potential deal that could potentially go through. And there has been a lot of reports, a lot of headlines talking about this massive deal. So we're going to go over and look at least, some of the breaking news headlines that came out of this massive news. So, but that's going to be it for me. I'll catch you guys on another video.
Twitter moving higher this morning. Multiple reports, including one just by Bloomberg, saying that the company is said to be on track to now reach an agreement with Elon Musk as early as today. Joining us right now is Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities, a man who I have to say in advance, if in fact we get there, called this right from the beginning, said that Elon was not going away when at one point he said he was going away or getting off the board. And here we are. We should also note, Dan, that Tesla shares moving down on this news. What do you make of both?
Look, I think at this point, a deal seems basically on the glide path to get done. I think that once the financing got put in place last week, with the tender offer, we believe potentially as a threat in terms of a hostile tender offer, the board couldn't find a white knight, a second bidder. This basically put back against the wall. They had to come to the negotiation table, which we believe it looks like in the next 24 hours, according to these reports, that Musk, will be successful in his bid for Twitter.
When you think about the Twitter board in terms of making this decision, and one of the things that I've heard repeatedly now is a worry that nobody seems to believe their standalone plan, and nobody wants to have a situation, frankly, like, Microsoft, Yahoo many, many years ago, where they were left at the altar in the end. And I think a lot of people look back at that as a fiasco. Are we going to look back on this and think the Twitter board made the right decision, the wrong decision, and how will that get measured over time?
Look, I think for the street, I think it's a Cinderella ending, because ultimately, look, Twitter, we have results later this week, probably not going to be smiles and roses. You look at the Facebook situation in terms of what happened there on social media, and I think ultimately the clock struck 12. Now Musk obviously hit it at the right time in terms of knowing that they were vulnerable, but it comes down to the poison pill gave the board time to try to find a second bidder. Obviously private equity clearly looked at this non-ideal private equity candidate. That's why in this Game of Thrones it really came down to this point. That's why they ultimately had to come to the table with Musk. And it looks now that Musk, that will be the sort of third leg of the stool when you think about Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter. In terms of Tesla stock down, that's knee-jerk because of the view that he'd have to sell Tesla shares. But as we've talked about in the equity financing, those shares are more collateralized rather than an actual sale. So that will, I think, ultimately get worked out, at least in the street's view.
It's changed over the weekend coming into this week.
Over the weekend, Elon Musk held video calls with the key investors. He met with Twitter executives. This is him playing his best hand, right? According to sources, trying to sell his best vision of how he changes the Twitter platform, how he boosts revenues. He's being really active in this, and it's just as how it played out over the Easter and Passover weekend. He has his bankers working the deal. He himself is working the deal. And as you said, according to a Bloomberg source, if all goes well, something could come later today.
How important is it that Morgan Stanley is reportedly involved? They've got a huge tech history out there. These are names people can be comfortable with. How important is that in the banker-to-banker chat?
Crucial because of all of the parties involved in this, right, Tom? That Elon Musk is trying not just to secure the debt financing, which he did, that's $25.5 billion, part of the deal, but he's also been vetting equity partners, high net worth individuals, family offices. He has to convince a lot of folks if he wants this deal to happen.
Well, not only that he wants the deal to happen, Ed, but that he has financial interests at heart when he talks about the deal. He talked a lot about how he wanted this for the idea of free speech, not necessarily an economic interest. That doesn't sell to investors, does it?
No, it doesn't, and you're exactly right, Lisa. There was a key piece, according to sources, that kind of contradicts that, which is in the PowerPoint presentations, which, as you know, in any deal, the deck is so important. There were slides about how he plans to boost revenue. This has always been the question for Twitter. How do they monetize the full potential of the platform? They have very modest top-line numbers compared to some of the social media giants they compare with. How is he going to improve that? And apparently that was a big part of his selling.
Ed, I'm also wondering about the financing of this. You talked about the $25.5 billion in debt financing. Of the equity investors, how much is Elon Musk himself backed by Tesla shares that could be put on the line should this bid go through?
Yeah, the math's really important. So Elon Musk only has $3 billion of cash or cash equivalents as part of his net wealth, right? So one hypothesis was that he'd sell down some of his Tesla stake to become more liquid. But he has other options, right? He, according to sources in our Bloomberg reporting last week, he could front, say, $5 to $10 billion of that 21. through either selling down Tesla shares or even some of the private stakes he has in other businesses like Boring or SpaceX. And then the remainder of the 21 comes from people that he wants involved in this process, right? The names that we've been talking about across private equity are still there. They're still being mentioned. Thoma Bravo, Silver Lake, of course, already has a seat on the board at Twitter. So it'll be interesting to see how that remainder of the financing plays out.